Oftentimes, websites can be extremely vulnerable to things like cyber attacks and even hackers. And if your website doesn't have a proper system of finding those threats and eliminating them before they become a bigger issue, you're in deep trouble. In today's video, we'll be covering everything you need to know about your website's potential vulnerabilities. What do they look like, how to find them, and more importantly, how to prevent them from happening more in the future. We'll also give you a specific tool that you can utilize today to start fixing your website by simply copying and pasting code directly into your website. This will be a very easy step-by-step process that you guys are not going to want to miss. Make sure to watch to the very end of this video and don't skip around. If you skip any parts of this video, you could be missing out on a huge threat to your overall website, your reputation, and potentially, if you make money off your website, your income. But without further ado, let's get started on how to figure out exactly how your website is vulnerable. Now, first things first, if you're telling yourself, well, I don't really have a website, lucky for you, we have you covered. The best place to get started with building your website is Hostinger. Hostinger is an amazing web hosting platform, website domain repository, and a website builder all rolled into one neat software package. If you guys want to get started for as cheap as possible, make sure you use the link down in the description of this video. Once you click that link, you'll be brought to a page that looks like this. As you can see, you're going to get up to 75% off any of the web hosting plans that you choose from, plus their built-in website builder, which is super handy. You'll also get access to a free domain, free website migration, and 24/7 customer support. All you have to do to get started with Hostinger is by going down and hitting the start button right here. Once you hit the start button, you'll then have a couple of different pricing plans that you can choose from. You'll have their premium plan, their business plan, and their cloud startup plan. Each of these plans have their own benefits, and as you can see, they have a ton of features packed into them. Now, for the sake of this video, and because this is specifically what we're going to need for this video, we're going to go with the business plan, which is about $3.99 a month, saving us about 71% plus 3 extra free months on top of that. We're going to hit the choose plan option, which will then take us over to the checkout page. On the checkout page, we then have to make a few more decisions. The first of these is checking our order, whether or not we want to go with the 1-month option, the 12-month option, the 24-month option, or the 48-month option. Now, the 48-month option is definitely going to be our most solid plan here, and that's going to actually get us a free domain for our first year as well. Once we've selected that, we're going to head over and create an account. We can either do that by entering in our email address and a password or using our Google account. We then just have to select our payment method, enter in our payment details, all of our personal information, and then of course, make sure you do this, enter in your coupon code. For the coupon code, you're going to want to enter in my first website, all capitals, no spaces, and then hit the apply button. Once you hit the apply button, it will then apply an extra 3% on top of the already discount that you're getting, and then you can go ahead and submit secure payment and get started with Hostinger. Now, once you're inside of Hostinger, it should look like this. Now, the first thing you want to do if you don't already have a website is to actually build one in the first place. This is super easy with Hostinger's built-in website builder tool, and you simply head over to the websites tab, hit the plus button, and then do the Hostinger website builder. This is the easiest and fastest way to build your very first website, and it's probably the best way to get access to an amazing website builder for the cheapest price possible. Now that you officially have a website, it's important to figure out where the potential vulnerabilities could come from. Now, in general, websites can face a numerous amount of different threats from an outside perspective, from SQL injection to cross-site scripting, and even insecure software or misconfiguration. These vulnerabilities can expose sensitive data, disrupt your overall services, and even damage your reputation as a website owner. This is why regularly scanning your website for vulnerabilities is so crucial to keeping your website safe. Now, when it comes to these common website vulnerabilities, let's break down a couple of them and figure out exactly what they are. The first of these is a SQL injection, or SQL for short. This is basically where attackers manipulate SQL queries to get access to otherwise restricted databases and repositories, basically meaning that they can extract data out from this or even potentially alter data in some cases. The next major vulnerability you'll want to pay attention for is cross-site scripting, otherwise known as XSS. This is where malicious scripts are directly injected into your web page. What this can basically do is it can potentially steal your user's data, whether it's a key logger looking over the types of keystrokes that you make, or even just something like a scraper that takes people's email addresses or cookie information. And then of course, some of the other vulnerabilities are insecure software or misconfigurations. When it comes to insecure software, it could be a plugin or app that you're utilizing on your website that might not be as secure as you think it is. This can cause all kinds of privacy issues and can even allow potential hackers to take control of your computer. And misconfigurations are of course just classic server application errors and specific user errors that you might make when setting up your settings. This can also leave you open to a variety of different cyber attacks. Now, when it comes to figuring out where these vulnerabilities are coming from and how we can actually stop them in the first place, we're going to be utilizing a open source option. This is referred to as Nikto. Nikto is a very interesting open source GPL application that basically allows us to find the threat before it even occurs. It's basically kind of like a detective looking for different things on your website that could be at risk and trying to find clues as to how we can solve those problems. Let's go over some of the key features of Nikto and how it actually helps keep your website secure in the first place. The first thing that Nikto does is that it's spots common threats on your website. And the second thing that Nikto does is it actually identifies potentially harmful software. The third thing that Nikto does is that it actually guesses subdomains. This is really important because this can actually uncover entire hidden portions of your website that you didn't know exist, which can end up being the places that cyber attacks actually originate from in the first place. Now that's a little bit about what Nikto does, but how does it even work? Now Nikto on the most basic level essentially scans web servers by sending HTTP requests. And basically what it does by sending those requests is that it takes back the response that it gets and analyzes what that response looks like. It checks for everything we just talked about, like vulnerabilities, outdated software, and of course misconfigurations. Now Nikto already operates on a super extensive base of vulnerabilities, so it can take these responses that it's getting from your website and compare it to already existing vulnerabilities, meaning that it will know exactly what's wrong with your website at any given point. Now when it comes to actually utilizing Nikto and installing it onto your machine in the first place, there's a few steps involved. The first thing you want to consider is whether or not you're using a Windows machine or Mac OS. If you're using Windows, the first thing you want to do is install Perl Interpreter from Active Perl. Once you've done that, you'll head over to the Nikto GitHub repository. In this repository, this is how you're going to download the latest release of this open source software. Once you've downloaded that latest release, you'll extract the files out of it and navigate to Nikto's directory. If you guys want to know the command prompt that you have to utilize inside your terminal on your Windows machine, it's going to look something like this. As you can see, the code here is perl nikto.pl-h. Now, if you're on a Mac OS system, it's going to look a little different. On Mac OS, the first thing you want to do is install Homebrew. Homebrew is basically a very helpful way at installing important open source software like this. Once you're inside Homebrew, you then can install Nikto. Once you've installed Nikto, you want to pull up your terminal and enter in the code that looks like this. As you can see, the code says brew install Nikto. Now that you have Nikto installed onto your machine, you can now officially start running tests and figuring out where your vulnerabilities can come from. Now, the first thing you want to do is run a basic scan. A basic scan is basically just doing an HTTP request from your domain in the first place. Now, in order to run that basic scan, you'll use a code line that looks like this. As you can see, you'll simply have to copy the code and enter in nikto-h example.com. And of course, that example.com should be filled in with the domain of your website. Once you've inputted that command, Nikto will scan that domain and then report back to you with its findings. If you want to scan an HTTPS website, the process is a little different. For this one, you're going to want to copy this code. This code is going to be nikto-h using your domain name in between -SSL. Let's say you also want to scan an IP address and see if there's any vulnerabilities. The first thing you would do is copy this code, nikto-h, and then put in your IP address. Let's say, for instance, you also want to scan multiple documents. You can go ahead and input this code, which is nikto-h, and then do your domains for those text files. And then if you want to save any of the results that you get from these scans, you'll enter in this code, which is going to be nikto-h with your domain name -o scan text -format text. Also, a big plus that I would say here, if you're having any trouble with these codes or any of these commands, make sure to utilize ChatGPT to clear things up. It's a super great debugging tool and it helps you understand everything that you're doing and whether you're making mistakes. And that's pretty much it. Nikto will give you a very easy to understand, reliable report that gives you a clear idea of what the vulnerabilities are on your website, if there even are any. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what kind of website you have and the types of scans you're planning on running. And of course, if you don't even have a website that you want to scan in the first place, you can start building one with Hostinger. Use the first link down in the description and keep in mind that that is an affiliate link and we do earn a small commission from each sign up. So thank you in advance for your support. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you guys never miss a future video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video and I can't wait to see you guys in a future one.